Welcome to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Python Skills series. In this video, we're going to talk about inheritance. But before we get started, please like and subscribe. And class is now in session. All right, so what we're going to do is talk about inheritance. But before we do that, let me open this up. Okay, so before we do that, I want to go back and review object-oriented programming. I actually have a video. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I do have a full video on this, and I'll put the link in the description. But object-oriented program comes down to basically a way of organizing code, and you can organize it in these things called classes. And so in this example, we have a regular circle, and with that circle, which is called the circle class, we consider this a blueprint. So kind of like we have blueprints for houses, and I'll come back here. So this is a blueprint for a house, and with that blueprint we can make various houses. And so with this circle class we can make various circle objects. We call them objects, we call them instances. Those words are used interchangeably, but they mean the same thing. But with this basic circle class, which has attributes and methods and a constructor, we can make a red circle. We can make a red circle with a green border. We can make a yellow circle with a thick blue border, and we can make many other combinations of this. And so that's kind of the general idea behind the object-oriented programming. Now, coming back to inheritance. Now, inheritance allows a class to inherit things from the parent class. So let's look at this, and we're going to create this in code. So we're just going to go over this visually. So here I have a vehicle class, and this is considered the parent class. And this vehicle class has a constructor. It has attributes and methods. It has all these things inside of it, and we're going to also create a car class and a motorcycle class, and these were going to be considered the children. Now, the way inheritance works is that these two classes will be able to accept all of the attributes, methods, and the constructor from the vehicle class. So it's going to do what we say or what we call inherit. It's going to inherit those things from the vehicle class, and so that is the general idea behind inheritance. And so let's see what that looks like in code. Okay, I'm going to switch over into Replit. And so at this point, I have a simple file, and it has the main.py. And so what we want to do is we want to create a vehicle class. So let's create a vehicle class. And so I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say vehicle.py. And so now I've just created a vehicle class. Let me get rid of my notes here. All right, and I'm just going to paste in some code here. And so let's do a quick review. So here we have the vehicle class. We have our proper indentations. This is our constructor. We have our attributes. Okay, so it has two attributes. I'll just put this here for now. Attribute, so that's an attribute, and this is an attribute. Generally, when we're writing a class, we wouldn't necessarily put these comments here, but because this is a learning video, I'm just going to leave them here. So this is an attribute. So this would be like saying this class has two attributes, a wheel and a door. And so when you make this object, this vehicle object, you have to put in two arguments. So a wheel, the number of wheels, and the number of doors. And then we have one method. And so that method is called the show vehicles method. And it basically is going to return the number of wheels and doors. And so let's, before we do any kind of inheritance, let's just create a vehicle. All right, so I'm going to come in here, and I'll get rid of this. And so what we want to do is we want to import this vehicle just to make sure that the vehicle class is working. So we're going to say from vehicle import vehicle. Okay, And then we're going to create a vehicle object. So let's create the vehicle object, and I'm going to say, I'll just say v1 is equal to vehicle, and I'll just put my parentheses here. Now, if you notice, it says, it gives us some code hinting here. It says we basically have to do make 2 arguments. Now, if you ever run across a situation where you don't necessarily know how many arguments and code hinting is not coming up, if you have access to the class, you can always come to the class and see, hey, oh, okay, I need to enter 2 arguments. So we're going to say this vehicle has 4 wheels and it has 2 doors. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to print out the result. So I'm going to say print, and then how do I do that? How am I going to print out the vehicles, the number of doors and the number of wheels? Well, I just come to the class and it says print out the we're going to do the show vehicles, show vehicle info. We're going to call that method. Okay, and then it's just going to return this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll say v1, because that is the object, dot show vehicle info, and that should be it. So let's go ahead and run this, and there it is. So we're able to return a vehicle. So we know the vehicle class is working. Now let's come back here. So right now we have the vehicle class that's actually looking pretty good now. And so what we want to do is let's create a car class, and this car class is going to inherit the methods and attributes from the vehicle class. And let's see how that works. So we'll come back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a car class. So I'm going to say car .py, and then I'm going to say class car, and I'm just going to put pass in here right now. Okay, so I want to demonstrate something. Whenever you want something to work, whether it's a function or a class, you can just put pass, and it will still work. If we didn't put pass, we'd get an error. So what I'm doing is I want to demonstrate that this class, the car class, has nothing in it right now, but we're going to create an object of a car. We're going to create an instance of a car using the vehicle. So let's see how that works. Okay, but before we do that, let me just reiterate what we're going to do. So what we're doing visually is we're going to create an object, an instance of the car class. So we're going to create a new car, but this car does not have any methods or attributes. And so how are we going to be able to print out the information? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to inherit the attributes and methods from the vehicle class. And so let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make this a child. So this car is now going to be a child of a vehicle. So you can imagine from an organizational standpoint, we could have multiple vehicles, types of vehicles. So we could have the parent, the vehicle. We could have cars. We could have trucks, motorcycles, bicycles. We could have different types of vehicles. And so this is the idea, the general idea of how we want to organize our code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just import from, I'm going to say from vehicle. I'm going to say import vehicle. All right. And then I'm going to put vehicle inside of here. Okay, so now we have a working class that is now a child. This car class is now a child of the vehicle. And now we have access to all of the methods here. So any kind of methods inside of here, the constructor, we can actually create a new object as well, a new car object. It will not be a vehicle, it will be a car. So let's do this. Let me come back to the car. And again, notice the difference. We have nothing inside of here. We just have a pass statement. And then in the vehicle, we have all of these here. So we have the constructor and the method. Let's come to the main. I'll leave this here, but let me just put an extra. Let me add something here. I'm going to say we'll say that this is a vehicle. Okay. So this is a vehicle that we just created. Okay. So let me come back. Let's Okay, so we're going to do, I'll call it C1 because it's going to be a car. We're going to say a car. And first off, let's import. So we need to import the car. So I'm sorry, let's do from car import car. Okay, and then we're going to create a new car. But again, this new car right now does not have any methods, doesn't have anything in it. So how are we going to be able to do this? Well, I'm going to enter some attributes. So I'm just going to add, we're basically going to add some wheels. So a car has 4 wheels, and let's make this a 4-door. Okay, so we just created a car object, and then what we're going to do is we're going to print this using the, let me make sure that this is a car, and we're going to say C1.show vehicle info, and that should be good to go. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking the show vehicle info from the vehicle class. We just inherited that method. All right, let's see if it works. And there it is. So we've created this is a vehicle, this is a car. So we've inherited, again, the show vehicle information from the vehicle class. Now, let's go ahead and add some method, a constructor and a method to this so that it can have its own information here. All right. All right, so I'm going to get rid of the past statement. We're going to add some things in here. So I'm going to just go ahead and paste this. And looks like that is not. Okay, so everything should look good here. So now what we've done is now the car class has its own attributes and its own method. All right, so what we want to do is let's create a new car. So let's try and do this. Let's see what happens. So we're going to create a car. We're already getting an error here. So actually we're going to have to fix that. And let's just run and see what happens now, because we've introduced an error here. Okay. And so basically there's a conflict between the parameters of the vehicle class and the parameters of the brand and model. And so let's see what it says. It says missing required positional argument year. And so let's figure this out. All right, so let's come back here. We're going to, let's look at the car class. So we have to do a brand, model, and a year. All right. So actually, you know what? Before we do this, let me get rid of the inheritance right now, and let's just make sure that the car class is working. Okay. So I'm going to take this out, and we're just going to create a straight car. We're going to keep it from being a parent and a child. Now it's just going to be a parent. And notice we're getting more errors, but we'll fix those in a second. So right now we're going to create a new car, but instead now we're going to create a new car as its own. And so instead of the show vehicle, we're going to use the show car info method. And so I'm going to say show car info. And then coming back to the car, we need to put a brand, model, and a year. So that means there's 3 arguments. So let's make this a Ford let me see, we'll make this a Ford Explorer, and the year 2024. All right, so now what we're doing now is we're just creating a standalone car without inheritance. So it's its own car. It does not inherit. And let's see if this works. And let me run this again. Okay, and so here now we get the car brand. So now we know that the car class is actually working. Okay, so now we need to make this back into a child. Okay, so let's let me go ahead and get rid of that, and then we're going to put vehicle inside of here. And then we need to do a couple of more things to actually make this thing work. And so right now, coming back, the code that I just entered, the vehicle class is now the parent of the car class. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to create a car that inherits back and forth, inherits the vehicles attributes and methods, but at the same time, we want the car class to have its own independent constructor and methods and attributes. So we're going to do that now. All right, so there's a couple of things that we need to do in order for us to have the car and the vehicle work independently. So for example, this car has a show car info method. The vehicle has a show vehicle method. And so what we need to do is we want to be able to create a car. In this case here, we've created a car, but we want to be able to have access to the vehicle show vehicle method as well as the show car method. And so what we have to do is, first thing we need to do is, since we're the car class is a parent of the vehicle, a child of the vehicle, what we need to do is we need to bring in the two attributes. So we're going to say wheels and doors. So we're going to say wheels and doors. So that's the first thing we need to do. And then the second thing is we're going to make a call to the vehicle's constructor. So inside of here, we're going to make a call. So what this would allow us to do is have access to this vehicle here. So actually, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And then we're going to do something called, let me see. All right, so we're going to do this. And let me just paste this here. Let me get rid of the def. And we're going to say super. And I'll explain that in a second. And let's make sure everything is lined up. And that looks good. Okay. So what the super does is the super basically makes a phone call, if you say, to the vehicle class. And it says, hey, I want to create a new car, but because it's a vehicle and it's inherent, it's a child, this is the parent, we have to make sure that this is called as well. So now this car will have access to the vehicle as well. So let's create a new car now. And we're getting an error here, and that is because I need to get rid of the self. Okay, so that looks good. And so now let's create a new car. Oh, we got another error here. All right, so let me redo this here because we're going to actually use the parent as well. So we're going to say we're going to add we'll say a car has 4 wheels, 4, and then we're going to add we'll make this one a Toyota, and we'll add another argument, Corolla, and we'll add the year 2024, and let's print, see what we get here. Okay, so we're saying show car info, so we're actually showing the car info here. So we're showing the brand. Let me just fix this. This doesn't look, let me get rid of this here. Make this a little bit clearer. Okay, so here we go. All right, so now we've created the vehicle here, so this is going to show here, and then we have the car, and so the car, we're calling the show car method, and it shows the car, the brand, the model, the car year. That looks good. Okay, so we have the show car here, so we have the brand, the model. Now let's call the vehicle, the parent. So we're going to call this one on the car. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say print c1.show vehicle info. Okay, and let's see what we get there. So we have a car. So this object is a car. And the first, in line 8, what we're doing is we're calling the actual car method. But in line 9, we're going to call the vehicle method. Okay, so let's see what we get here. All right, so if you notice, this is the first car that we created here. This is the line 8 is going to show this code here. So we show the brand, the car model, and the car year. And now the vehicle. So notice that we have a car, but we're calling the vehicle info, and it shows the number of wheels and doors. And so we've added 4 wheels and 4 doors. And again, this is where that's coming from. All right, so let's actually do one more. So let's create a C2, and we're going to create a car, and we'll make it 8 doors. It's going to be a big car. What is it, doors? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, wheels and doors. Okay, so we have 8 wheels, 10 doors, some weird car or something, and we'll call it a Ford. And let me go with the proper syntax, and then we're gonna add. We're gonna call it a Forda Ruski. It's a new car. You guys haven't heard of it before. And then we'll add the year, really futuristic stuff. So it's a 2030. And then, actually, this should be a C2. Sorry about that, because we're actually creating another one. And then we're going to print this. So print C2, and we're going to show car info. And then we're also going to show the vehicle info. So we're going to do this one, C2.show vehicle info. And we should have, actually, we have 3 objects. So we have a vehicle, we have a car, and we have a second car. And so the vehicle is the parent, the car is the child, it's the first child, and then we've also created another child here. And so we're going to run, and we'll see what we get. And so this, again, is a separate object. All right, so that concludes the video for inheritance. And just to come back here, what we did, we actually didn't do the motorcycle class, but we could do it easily. But just to drive home the point, we just focused on a parent class that had attributes, methods, and a constructor. And we created a car class that inherited the attributes, methods, and the constructor from the vehicle class, but it also had its own constructor, method, and methods and attributes. And so that's the way basically inheritance works. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And just a little note about inheritance, it's a great way of organizing code. It takes a while to try to kind of understand and get used to programming like that. But the more and more you do it, the better you will understand. And so I just wanted to provide a simple example of how you can inherit things from parent to child. I will see you in the next video, and class is now dismissed.